That was Blues for Lonnie, and Lonnie is Lonnie Johnson, the great guitar player that recorded, wow, from the 1920s straight until the time he passed away in the 70s. Lonnie was an incredible musician, and this instrumental dedicated to him is basically taking some licks that he played on Blues for the West End. And they were just such great licks, I wanted to put them together on my own form, as it was. Also, I wanted to show you how you can be playing up and down the neck easily and still keep this alternating bass going. Because in this case, we have a guitar player and a drum player and a bass player. The drum player and the bass player are doing this. So that bass is just always solid. That's your band. Now let's get to understand a little bit about some of the positions on the fingerboard. We're playing a blues in D, in drop D tuning. The reason I mention that is that we're going to be also playing a blues in A later on in drop D tuning. So here, this is our D chord. Okay, this is our second position, what I would call our second position fingering for a D chord. So around here, I can do licks where I'm going from this position into that position. Like for instance, I'm playing around the first position D chord, up to the second, and I can even go up here. Here's a third position D. So that's some of our D fingering that we can sort of play around. Now when we get to a G chord, this could be a G7th, this can be a G, and we can add the third fret of the first string. We also can be playing, so this is like a bar G chord, but because this is down to a D note, we'd have to play or fret the 5th fret of the 6th string. And it's nice to come in with this harmony, where you have the 2nd and ring finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string and the 3rd fret of the 6th. You come in, this is Lonnie, and then you could bring it up into that D position to make it really sing. You also have another position for the G. You can take this position, which is a D, you can bring it all the way up here, and that's also going to be a G chord. You can bring it down here, it's still a G chord. That fingering is coming out of this D fingering. Here's a D chord. If I bring it up to the 7th fret, that's a G. So I could go. And what am I doing there? I'm playing around the G and the G7. That's all around the G, the G7th, resolving into the D chord. So what I was doing there for the melody at the beginning, into a G chord, back to that D chord, all the way up, and now I would play another lick from Lonnie. Hey, that lick is also one that I seem to recall we did in Amazing Grace. But here we're doing it in a blues. So the first line. D, now the lick. And now I go up to the G chord. And now I'll play a different lick. The same ideas, but instead of playing it in the first position, I'm just playing the bass notes. And again, look at my right hand. I'm, as I call it, spitting out the notes. I'm using my thumb and index finger. Because then when I play that full low 6-string luscious bass note, it contrasts against the spitting out notes. Now we come to some hot stuff. I don't know if I should share this with you. This is an incredible lick. And it's one, again, I mean, I took it from Lonnie, so I just as well share it with you guys and gals out there. You're going to go down chromatically, and he slides into what would look like an F-shaped A chord. So that's easy enough. And then pull off the 6th fret against your index finger, which is on the 5th fret of the 4th string. Slide up to the 7th fret. So we have and then slide into this first position, A 7th, with your ring finger, sliding from the 3rd to the 4th. Hit the 2nd fret of the 3rd string. Your bass hits the 2nd fret of the 4th string. So all together, that hot lick. And this is straight from Blues for the West End. So that's going to be, when you put it together, add a bass note, one more time, I'll play it a little bit better. Bass note, right, you have to get that note, the 7th fret of the 2nd string, and then you have pull off the 6th to the 5th on the 2nd string and resolve it into the D note, and then we have the turnaround, and those are all variations of this very classic Lonnie Johnson end tag. Take a look at that first. We bring up, check out how I'm bringing that note up, by the way. I'm not taking my ring finger and just going up with it. I don't have the strength, so I put my index and middle finger literally straight behind it. See how it's straight behind, and that gives me the strength. So I go up, bring it down, you could also play that instead of those notes there, you could play those same notes up the fingerboard. So the classic lick, and a variation. So that's just taking that 2nd position D fingering, bringing it down, and those same notes as the trademark Lonnie Johnson lick. So that's a verse. Let's try playing it all together with a split screen, and then we'll talk about some variations. Okay, let's try it. Okay, now you can do some variations on this blues for Lonnie. Let's talk about them a little bit. One would be to start playing chords. So you could come in with this D7th chord. So you've just finished. All right. Now you turn and you go into that G, back to the D7th, and maybe do a lick. Into that G. And then back to that nice lick at the end. And that lick at the end, we can also add a little bit. When you're going up, you can go so you have almost an orchestral type of sound. Or we can do a little bit more single string runs. Whereas here you have a straight melody. It's almost going, you could almost sing from four until late. I hung my head and cried. You could do from four till late from Robert Johnson, though at the end it'd be a little bit difficult. But if you're doing it as an instrumental, as I would do it usually in concert, then I would try to do a single string where I would get a little bit more wild, keeping that bass. So again, I'm just playing around with the first position D, second, third. So let's just follow some of these licks. I'm in the second, and this is allowing me to head back to the first position, and then I may want to take that note and really milk it for all it's worth. And that's a nice Lonnie lick where he slides up to that and back down to here. And now you want to go into the G, you can chordal, it's a nice contrast. You can use this G and then you can use this G7. And what is that? It's just a regular D7, but you're moving it up here, but you need to bar the top 5 strings. So the G, you can go like this. And so with that G7, I'm playing around with my pinky. And then back into that D. And then I keep this lick. Okay, so let's just split the screen and I'll do a couple of verses just improvising somewhat, but everything's going to be in tab and music. And remember, the tab and music is on your DVD as a PDF file. So you'll be able to play along with me with the split screen as well as follow along with the tab music. Let's try it.